Hi, this is John Mayfield with Real Estate Sales Meetings with this week's sales meeting for my members entitled Cell Phone Etiquette. Now, if you're watching this on YouTube and you wonder what in the world is this guy doing with a slideshow about cell phone etiquette and talking about sales meetings, I'll be glad to tell you more about that at the conclusion of this mini PowerPoint. We have a website for real estate brokers and for actually anyone who has to conduct a sales meeting on a weekly or every couple of weeks. Love to have you as a member of realestatesalesmeetings.com or easysalesmeetings.com. Well, I know I'm probably going to get thrown out of my association because I know many of my colleagues feel it is necessary to use their cell phones while they are out driving, using their automobiles and so forth. And have to be honest with you, I watched an episode this week with Dr. Phil where he talked about automobile crashes and a lot of the problems that are going on with people using cell phones while they're driving their automobiles, whether they're texting or checking voicemail or whatever. And it's really been something that's been on my heart and on my mind for a long time because I've been a user of a cell phone while I've been in my car, and so many times I am checking my phone or checking email or doing text messaging, and a few seconds go by and I think to myself, gosh, I wasn't even paying attention at all to driving on the road, and I'm more concerned about my cell phone. So I watched this episode this week on Dr. Phil, and I actually made a commitment that I am not going to use my cell phone while I'm driving in my automobile. I changed my voice message to tell people I'm not using my cell phone while I drive, and I will check in periodically and call them as I can. So I have to be upfront and honest. It's been a very trying and difficult challenge. It's almost like trying to quit smoking, but it's something I think we need to confess and confront and look at as real estate professionals. So the objective this week for your members is to help them understand some basic cell phone etiquette rules when talking mobile to clients and family. Now, not only is this about cell phone etiquette, but there are some safety issues we're going to talk about as well. I love this little quote, and I thought it might be good to open up your meeting with: the bathtub was invented in 1850 and the telephone in 1875. In other words, if you had been living in 1850, you could have sat in the bathtub for 25 years without having to answer the phone. So I thought that was kind of cute from Bill DeWitt in 1972, but a lot of people tend to always have the phone ring, at least in the old days when we used to take baths, right? So begin with your group to ask them this question: how many of you will admit that you do not use your cell phone in your automobile while you're driving? In other words, how many people are taking a stance that I'm taking right now, that we won't use our cell phone while we drive the car? And just kind of talk about that with your group. And I've got a couple of more questions that you can answer or ask. Do you believe cell phone etiquette is a problem today among the business community? Why or why not? I mean, are people using their phone in situations that maybe they should wait? A couple of good questions to ask your group. And then finally, do they believe using a cell phone is a dangerous issue? I think most of us would agree that using your cell phone is a dangerous issue. Here's an interesting survey statistic that I found, and this is from January of 2007 by the Nationwide Mutual Insurance Company. Of 1,200 drivers, 73% said they talk on their cell phones while they're driving. Cell phone was highest among young drivers as well. So another statistic: motorists who use cell phones while driving are 4 times as likely to get in crashes. I mean, that's a shocking statistic when you think about it. You're upping your chances of getting into an automobile crash, a serious crash, by using a mobile phone while you're talking on the phone and driving your car. And look at this, brokers. Explain to your team that in December of 2007, a company was actually sued for $5.2 million, settled the lawsuit because one of their employees was rear-ended by a driver from this particular company, even though the company had a policy that said you can't talk on your phones hands-free or not, while driving the car. So I think this is another issue we need to think about as real estate companies. Will lawsuits come at us because our broker or because our agents are using their cell phones while they're working for our company? I don't know, but it's a question to think about. So I've got 10 quick cell phone tips that you can go over with your group. Remind them to mute their phone. And by the way, you have a handout for your group if you're a member of the sales meeting website that you can print out along with your detailed talking points outline. But have them mute their phone. If they're worried they're going to miss a call because of a babysitter, a client, or someone else, if you're in a movie theater or a meeting or somewhere else, set your phone to vibrate. And then if you have to answer the phone, leave the room. Don't get up and then begin talking your conversation while you're exiting the room. Wait until you're completely out of the room before you begin that conversation. Tip number 3, choose ringtones carefully. We have some people in our office, and I know I've seen them in other offices who have some pretty goofy ringtones, and I think it's important that you use a professional ringtone because we are business professionals. Number 4, excuse yourself before taking the call. I think that's just common courtesy. May I be excused to take this quick phone call? Tip number 5, don't use your cell phone to complain or gripe. A personal visit is much better for those situations than to try to get all irritated and up in arms with someone. And tip number 6, show them you care. You know, when you're working with clients on a real estate matter or any business professional matter, I would suggest you don't take calls when you're working with your clients. Remember, it's their time with you, and you should devote all of your attention to them. Tip number 7, don't text and drive. Please don't do that. Very dangerous, and you should avoid that. And speak normal. Don't yell at people. Sometimes you see people on a cell phone, and it's almost like they're screaming into the phone. So just remember to speak normal. Tip number 9, avoid personal conversations on your cell phone when others are around. Sometimes people will go on about personal conversations, and really no one else needs to hear those or know about those. And tip number 10, remind your group that your family needs you too. Sometimes I've been guilty to take phone calls when I'm with my family at dinner or somewhere else, and shame on me. That's wrong to do, and I've got to avoid doing those types of things. When I'm with my family, I need to give my family my personal attention. And then a bonus tip, remind your group not to forget, and this is a safety tip as well, not to forget ICE. Program that in one of the name entries, the name ICE, and then program in the phone number to call in case of an emergency. If you're in an automobile accident and would happen to be unconscious, medical staff are trained to look for that entry in your cell phone, and then they can call that particular person to let them know you've been in an accident. They need that person's attention at the hospital or wherever. So I think it's always good to ask for other cell phone tips. I know your group will have a bunch of great tips that they can contribute. Use your flip chart. Put those tips on the flip chart, debrief, and talk about some of those tips, because we all have cell phone quirks and gripes that we want to share. So be sure and let your group include those items. And then the closing quote is from an unknown author, but I love this quote. I like my new telephone. My computer works just fine. My calculator is perfect, but Lord, I sure do miss my mind. Do you ever feel that way sometimes? I think I do as well. Well, if you like this meeting, we'd love to have you as a member. You can join us at realestatesalesmeetings.com or easysalesmeetings.com. If you're not a real estate company and you ran across this video on YouTube, we provide motivational meetings for you. And if you don't like this particular meeting, if you're a real estate broker and you say, gee whiz, I don't want to do a cell phone etiquette meeting, we've got lots of other meetings you can download from our website at realestatesalesmeetings.com. Here's what you'll get. You'll get one new meeting each week, a detailed talking points outline, handouts for your members, PowerPoint slideshows, just like the one I ran here, although it's not required to run the meeting, and so much more. So let your team members know you're striving to give them the best sales meeting possible each and every week. Look professional, save time, and join us at realestatesalesmeetings.com or easysalesmeetings.com. I'm John Mayfield. I hope you have a great sales meeting, and thanks again for your membership.